Can't get the camera to face me, so we'll do like a first person point of view type deal going on over here. So I'm hungry. I bought a big bag of sunflower seeds, and I'm guessing somebody stole them when I was at the shelter. Because I thought, well, maybe I left them at the gym. I called the gym and I was like, hey, did I leave some sunflower seeds in one of the lockers? And they're like, which locker? And I told them. They're like, well, look, if it's there, we'll put it at the front desk. So I got here, asked the front desk. They're like, no, we don't have it. So the only other place I had been was the shelter. Yeah, so last night I just didn't sleep at all. Just stayed up all night. And the police told me, they were like, whenever they were trying to get me to give up all my stuff and everything, they're like, go to the Come and Go. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because we've seen them let people just like hang out up there before. They'll let you just hang out up there. And I'm like, okay, so I could just loiter up there all night long and I'm allowed to sleep up there? And they're like, yeah, we've seen people asleep up there. And I'm like, but where can I go in the city? And they're just like, oh, you just can't stay here. I did not want to give up the car and everything in it, but they won that battle. So, yeah, I gave up the car and everything. I mean, I was arrested twice over it, and then they towed it, and then I just have like the clothes on my back basically, which sucks because like I just spent time doing laundry at one door, which was like competitive because people get up there and they cut in line and stuff. And one of the people who cuts in line like pretty much every day, she was at the shelter that I went to. When I first got here to the city, everybody kept telling me, go to this shelter, go to this shelter. And I'm like, why? I have a car. Like, why would I go to a shelter? But now, the car was stolen. So I'm like, well, now what do I do? And so I go to the shelter. I went there once when I still had the car, like after it broke down and stuff. And they put me on the list and they like admitted me and everything, and they took my picture, and all of the like volunteers and stuff were on board with it. Like everybody was cool with it. And then I showed up again night before last, and it was about to rain and everything. It's like, I don't know, it was like 7 o'clock or something. And the thing with like shelters is that if you don't get in there before like a certain time, you're not gonna make it in. So at that point it was like too late for anywhere else. But they were like, you can't stay here because you're transgender, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god. And then I got in there and there was a transgender female, male to female person. And I was like terrified of accidentally outing her, but she was fine. But some of the people there were like very, 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 very like transphobic towards me. They were like asking me questions about just very personal things, and I was being upfront with them and being honest. I was like, I'm biologically female, and the lady who like always cuts in line, she didn't like want to hear that. She just had it in her mind that I'm male to female, and so she kept saying things like, you'll never be a woman, you're always going to be a man, you're born a boy, you're always going to be a boy. And like I said, I didn't want to like start any controversy, especially with another transgender person there. Like I would hate to accidentally like out them or something. So I was just like, whatever. And so she just like kept on and on about it, and it kind of started off light, where she was like, we have 2 bathrooms. We have the women's bathroom, that's for us, the women, and then we have the other bathroom with the urinals, because you can use the urinal. And I was like, well, no, I don't use a urinal. And she's like, oh, so you sit down to pee? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, is that because you think you're a woman? You're not a woman like we are. And I'm like, she doesn't understand, like, um, because I thought, whenever she was like, oh, you sit down to pee, I thought that was gonna kind of like shift her like mindset and be like, oh, but it never really mattered that much. And so left there, and then I left there at like 6 a.m. Like, they let you stay for like amount of time because they give you food and stuff, which was like another reason why I'm like, why did somebody steal my food? Because they provide food there, so it didn't make any sense. But obviously I did not want to partake in any of that because it's bad karma. But I brought my own, and like I said, made a couple of friends. The transgender woman, and then her friends were cool with me. So, but yeah, it's such a small city. I had actually seen her before on the bus one time. I thought that was kind of funny. But the one lady who like always cuts in line and was like being crazy at the shelter, she'll go to one door when I'm there sometimes, and she'll just say like the craziest shit. Like, she'll like, I don't know, it's just like this weird like mentality, I guess, that a lot of people in this city have, where if they've gone to jail before that, they never had any kind of constructive thing. You know what I mean? Like, the education system here has very much failed these people, and so they go into jail and they like learn all of these skills and gain all of this knowledge, and they think, well, that's the only way, is by being exposed this way. And so they'll use like terms and stuff like that you would only know if you had like gone to jail. And they do that a lot with like the shelter systems and stuff, where it's like they'll say these terms and I'm like, I'm not sure what they're talking about, and then somebody will pipe up and be like, oh, you've never been to jail, huh? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, I did 5 years, blah blah blah, and they'll just start like, it's like they're bragging. It's not like, it's like they're flexing on me or something. Like, they think they're better than me, and they're like scoffing that I don't know like certain words. I'm like, okay. And they'll even treat each other like that. Like, this one like volunteer, I don't know if they're volunteers, if they're employees, but she was like over the shelter thing, and she was speaking as if we were in prison. Like, just the tone of voice and everything, like the shouting, the like, you know what I mean, just the very command type, saying things like, I'm only gonna say this one time, and if you come to me asking me about this, I'm not gonna help you, blah blah blah. Just the attitude of like, oh my god. But yeah, and then like when they woke us up, they turned on the lights, and then they immediately said, time to get up. And then like every, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, they would just repeat it over and over and over and over again. They're like, it's time to get up, it's time to get up, it's time to get up. And you got people that are like getting up, like actively putting their bedding up, and they've got people that are like still kind of waking up a little bit because it had only been like 3 or 4 minutes, and they were mad that people were still in their bed like literally like 4 minutes after they turned the lights on. They're like, you better be out of your bedding by now, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, even though that one crazy bitch had problems with me, I think she was just like drama queen. She's gonna make drama out of everything for the attention. And then there's like older lady there that was really nice. It seemed like the older ladies kind of knew more like what was going on, and they were really chill about it. Yeah, they had like all these like different like customs, I guess, that they never really explain. Like they don't give you a handout and say, okay, like here's the rules, this is what you do. They just kind of like will mention a few of the rules as you go along, and then they expect you to just kind of know the rest. So they were like getting mad at me because they're like, why is your pillow still in here? You're supposed to take the pillow out and put it over here, and then you take the pillowcase and put it in here, and why didn't you wrap your bedding up right? It's like, nobody told me what to do. Like, why are you chewing me out? Like, I'm not coming back. I don't know what the fuck. But I mean, it wasn't just me. They were doing that too. They were doing that to like everybody. And yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I know like today I have a little bit of money and I need some medicine, so I'm gonna buy the medicine first, and then I need clean clothes, but that's not really in the budget right now. I mean, like I've considered going to One Door and trying to compete for a laundry spot, but it's like the first 4 people at the door get it. The one good thing about the One Door thing, besides it being free, obviously, is they'll provide like robes and stuff, so you can wash the clothes that you're currently wearing, which is going to be helpful for me because the clothes I'm currently wearing are the only clothes I own. So, doing laundry would be a lot more challenging if they didn't provide that, I suppose. I still have not gotten a job yet, and I'm still working on the Burger King thing. Cause like yesterday, they were telling me come in. They're like, yeah, the manager will be in at 5 o'clock. So I come in at 5, and they're like, oh no, she's in a meeting in a different city. She's an hour away. She won't be back today. And I'm like, okay. And that just keeps happening over and over and over again. Like I come in, and she's in a meeting. I come in, she's busy. Whatever. Just like every single time. So I don't know. Like I said, I'd asked One Door for like any kind of temp agencies or any kind of place that would pay me the same day that I work, And at first they were like, oh, well, we used to provide that. And then after a little while of me asking kind of the same questions of like, is there any jobs that even pay a decent amount or any jobs that would even start me at a reasonable time? They're like, oh, someone in your position, or for somebody in your position, you're being way too demanding. I'm like, I'm just asking for a job. And they're like, well, you could live in the shelter. I'm like, well, even if I have a job, I'm still going to have to live in the shelter because nowhere pays anything here. It's all shitty, like, wages and shit, so. But I've talked about that, how they've said that it's like a life hack to stay in the shelter. So, I don't know. I'm like really hungry, but like I said, I gotta buy medicine, and then I gotta work. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get money. Somebody got my OnlyFans last night, which is $12 pending, so it takes like, I don't know, like 5 to 7 business days of pending, and then it goes into my OnlyFans account, and then once I get $20, I can withdraw it. So if I get another subscriber, or if I sell some pictures or something and I get it over $20, then I can get it. But usually that money takes about 2 months or so, maybe even longer, depending on how long it takes me to accumulate $20. And then, yeah, yesterday a friend just like gave me $20. That's basically what's been happening, is like the girl at Burger King gave me $20, and then one of my friends that I talk to every single day gave me $20, and then my friend that was at the hospital gave me $20, and then I'd gotten $20 from OnlyFans at one point as well. So I'm down to 16 at the moment, which sucks because like there's a lot of things, and I don't want to like make the wrong decisions, you know what I mean? Because like it really sucks. Because like if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna break and I'm gonna buy food because I'm so hungry, then I end up not having enough money for medicine, and it's like, which is worse. So I would be more likely to get food for free than I would like medicine and stuff. But even at that, it's like kind of difficult. Like, what they'll do is they'll say, oh yeah, we've got resources, let me give you a list, let me give you a resource list. And then it's got a list of all these different places you can go to. You go to those places and they do the same thing. Oh yeah, we got resources, let me give you a list. It's like, oh, I came here for food. Yeah, you got to go to this place across town. So you know, walk or take a bus or whatever, you get there, same thing. One place I showed up, they actually did have food, and obviously it was like mostly meat and stuff, and like everybody was getting these sliders and stuff, and they had a bunch of oranges, and they were like, you can have one orange and one bag of chips and one drink, and like everybody else had like sliders and like chips and orange and drink. So it's like, why didn't they like make it a little more fair? I don't know. But last night I got to eat Taco Bell, which was like weird. Oh yeah, I talked about that last night, so you'll see that in that video where I'm at the Come and Go, because I had to stay up all night. And then yeah, it's just like, now what? Like, I guess just wait until tonight and then go to a shelter and kind of just cross my fingers that they'll let me in. I've never talked to this shelter before. You know, it's like with the other one, I felt more confident with it because it's like I've been there, they know me, everybody's like signed off on me, they've got my picture, they've put me on the list, all this stuff, you know, they've got like bedding set aside for me. I show up and they're like, no, you can't be here because you're trans. And like I said, I really didn't want to argue with her being there, you know, because like I know how it goes. Like sometimes you say something, then they say something, and then the other trans person like feels like they need to pipe in, and then they out themselves, and it's like, oh fuck, you know. I didn't want that. So because like one of my friends was like, why didn't you just show them, like why didn't you just let them like see? And I'm like, because then that would be the status quo, because as a trans person, if I were to suggest that, then they would think that's acceptable to do to other trans people, so I wouldn't even jokingly mention that, you know. And he's like, yeah, you're right, those sick fucks probably would actually want to. And I'm like, that's, yeah. So it's very religious. It seems like every organization is like a religion organization, and you have to like subscribe to their religion to partake. And that's another thing I'm kind of worried about this other place, is that like they like charge per night, and I don't have any money, but they're like, sometimes we waive the fees depending on the situation. And I'm like, so if they don't waive the fees, then where am I gonna go tonight, you know? We had to like go to Bible study and all this other stuff, and that's the one thing that's kind of weird. It's like you have to attend like all these Bible studies and all these classes and workshops and like all this like work training and stuff throughout the day, but yet you're also expected to pay them for every night. So it's like, how can you do both? Like, how can you go out and work and also be in class all day long? You just like magically have money, you know? Like, why would you need to be there if you have money? Like, but yeah, those are the only two options, it seems like. They said they had another one at one point, but it got shut down. And yeah, but Dollar General is about to open, so I'm gonna go do that. It sucks I lost the sunflower seeds, because like that was something I was really like counting on having as a part of the like equation of what I'm gonna do. Just kind of random. Somebody stole them. It's probably that same person that had a problem with me. Just, you know what I mean? Somebody was like did this like charging station there, you know, like those charging stations, and they had it plugged into a power strip, and the power strip was up on the table, So obviously I want to use my charger because first of all my port's messed up, but also like I want to use my charger. So I asked her, I was like, hey, is it okay if I just plug my charger into this power strip right here? And the volunteer person was like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then she goes, wait, no, actually you might want to move it into the kitchen next to the coffee pot so nobody will steal it. And in my mind, I like already knew that's gonna cause problems. Like one of the other volunteers who doesn't like me is gonna go in there and accidentally spill something on it or move it or steal it or break it or whatever. So it's like I'd rather just keep it out on the table near the like other charging phones, you know. And so I showed her how busted it is. I'm like, it's busted up. I don't think anybody's gonna steal it, and if they did steal it, it wouldn't even matter because like the phone's basically useless at this point. And so that's probably the only reason they even left that alone. Because like I said, they were like, I don't know, those people who were okay with me being there last time, but then this time must be like a different crowd. Um, I mean, like I said, the one girl and her friends, they were obviously nice to me. But one of the volunteers and one of the other people staying there was like kind of a bitch. So really tired.